In this video, I'll be giving you guys my 3 breakout candidates for the Chicago Bears. Before we get into the video, I want to talk about my sponsor for this video, DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook has an insane promotion going on for new customers if you want to sign up and take advantage of it, guys. Okay, so college basketball obviously is ramping up. There's going to be a lot of games in the next month, as you guys know. And if you guys want to bet on any college basketball team, if you bet $5 on any team to win their next game, you actually get $200 in free bets. Okay, it's only a one-time thing for new customers, but if you haven't signed up yet, now would be a great time to do so. I've been using DraftKings Sportsbook for a couple years now. It's been nothing but great for me as it pertains to my sports betting. Okay, they have same game parlays, they have futures bettings. If you want to already bet on the next NFL season, if you want to bet on like who's going to win the division or something like that, you can do that on DraftKings Sportsbook. A lot of fun, guys, a lot of fun stuff happening on this app. If you want to download it, I have a link down below in my description box, and also use code DaWindyCity when you sign up for this promotion, where you can actually turn $5 into potentially $200 in free bets. What's up, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears offseason update videos. If you guys want more of these, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming out with videos all offseason long, but today I'll be talking about my 3 breakout candidates for the Chicago Bears. Okay, which young players do I think are going to take the next step forward in their development in 2022? And before I begin with the video, I want to give you guys my definition of a breakout season. Okay, what exactly is a breakout season in my opinion? And pretty much it's a significant increase statistically over what you did last year, so the stats have to be a lot better, but also you have to be respected nationwide by football fans all across the country. Okay, so if you asked a random person on the street who this guy is and if he's a good football player, if the majority of people in America respect you, I would view that as a breakout season. So stats matter, play matters, tape matters, but also respect in some areas too. Okay, so showing up in big games, making big time plays, all of that counts towards a breakout season. My first Chicago Bears breakout candidate is edge rusher Travis Gibson. Okay, who's going to be having an increased role now after the Khalil Mack trade went down. He's most likely going to be the starter on the opposite side of Robert Quinn in the 4-3 defensive front that we're switching to next year under Matt Eberflus. And the reason why I say Travis Gibson, guys, is because he's probably the most underrated player on the entire Chicago Bears roster. Okay, because if you look at his tape, if you look at his numbers from last year, he actually had a really good season, which nobody really talked about, right? Because Robert Quinn went off and had 18.5 sacks. So obviously, everybody was talking about him. You know, Khalil Mack got off to a great start last year too, so a lot of people were talking about him. And Travis Gibson kind of got swept under the rug and did not get noticed as much as he should have been noticed. Okay, after Khalil Mack went down with the injury, that should have been a big blow to our pass rush, but it really wasn't, guys. Like, we still had dominant pass rushing performances for a good portion of the second half of the season. Okay, Robert Quinn obviously going off, and Travis Gibson, guys, had some fantastic numbers as well. If you read you guys his numbers from last year, so he had 7 sacks on the year. I feel like nobody talks about that, right? 7 sacks is a pretty big number. Even after, you know, Robert Quinn getting his sacks, like, Travis Gibson still got 7 of his own sacks, which is a pretty phenomenal number for him only starting like half the season after Khalil Mack went down with the injury. So the sack number was pretty good last year. If you look at his total pressures according to PFF, he had 27 total pressures in only 229 pass rushing snaps, which is a phenomenal rate of pressure. Okay, that's almost a 10% pressure rate from last year. Now, obviously with a bigger sample size, it's hard to keep that up, but in the limited snaps that he got last year as a starter, he looked really, really good. Okay, if you look at his tackles for loss, so he had 7 tackles for loss. He had 7 quarterback hits, 5 forced fumbles. His long arms popped the ball out a number of times last year. So overall, his numbers are really fantastic. Okay, these are really good numbers for only starting half the season. And if you look at his PFF grade too, like, he was actually one of the highest graded Bears defenders last year. Okay, according to the PFF grade. His run defense grade wasn't that good. It was pretty low, so he does have to improve on run defense. But pass rushing grade was phenomenal because he got pressure at a very high rate last year. So I think it just makes total sense to, you know, expect a breakout season now from Travis Gibson. Khalil Mack is gone now, guys. So all the starting reps that were Khalil Mack's are now going to be Travis Gibson's, and he has the opportunity to do whatever he wants with those starting snaps. Okay, nowadays in the NFL, guys, like, offensive linemen are smaller, more athletic. So I feel like a guy like Travis Gibson, he's built for today's NFL to rush the passer in today's NFL. He's athletic, he's fast, he's explosive, he has long rangy arms that can pop the ball out to force fumbles. And I feel like going back to defensive end under Eberflus, that's where he played in college, right? Like at Tulsa, he used to be a 4-3 defensive end, hands in the dirt, and that's what he's going to be doing next year as well. So I'm expecting a big year out of Travis Gibson. The second guy that I think is going to have a breakout season for the Chicago Bears is quarterback Justin Fields. This should come to no surprise to anybody that's been following my YouTube channel. I'm a big Justin Fields believer. I think it's going to be great for the Chicago Bears over time. You guys are going to see how special he actually is. Last year, we saw none of that because he had one of the worst supporting casts in the entire NFL. Okay, if you look at his wide receiver open rate, okay, according to PFF, his wide receivers got open at the lowest rate in the NFL by a good margin. So his receivers were not getting open, partly because they weren't that good, but also because Matt Nagy was having them run curls and like shorter routes the entire time. He wanted this to be like a rhythm and timing offense when his quarterback clearly had these skill sets for something different. Okay, so Nagy's refusal to build the offense around Justin Fields definitely played into that. And also the Bears offensive line last year ranked number 22 in the NFL. So the offensive line also was bad for a good portion of the season. And on top of all that, Justin Fields went up against the meat of our schedule. Okay, the hardest opponents that we had to face. The Packers twice, the Buccaneers, you know, who else? The 49ers, the Ravens. Like most of these were pretty good teams. And obviously, you know, for a rookie quarterback with everything around him being such a chaotic mess, that's not a recipe for any type of success. So if I read you guys Justin Fields' stats from last year, they obviously were not that good. 1,870 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a quarterback completion percentage of 58.9. He got sacked 36 times. So overall, the numbers aren't that good, guys. Like if you just look at the base numbers, you would think he was a bad quarterback last year, which yes, he wasn't really performing at a high level last year. But if you look at some of the deeper numbers, for example, the Deep Ball Project on Twitter, it's a thing that somebody does on Twitter where he like ranks all the best deep ball passers in the NFL every single year. Justin Fields was one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL, and his season last year was actually one of the most accurate deep passing seasons in the entire league since 2018. Okay, he was accurate on 60% of his passes going down the field above 21 yards. So his deep ball was on point the entire year. Like passing down the field when he actually had time, when he actually had his receivers open, he was able to deliver the ball really nicely. So that's something that Luke Getsy is going to try to build on for next year. Getting more deep developing routes going for Justin Fields, because that's what he did back at Ohio State. Okay, he had Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson streaking down the field for 30, 40, 50 yards. And Fields used to put the ball in the breadbasket. Okay, he was one of the most accurate passers in all of college football. That accuracy didn't magically go away, guys. It's just that the entire situation around Fields was really bad, and I don't think it's going to be as bad next year. I think it's actually going to be pretty favorable for him next year, fingers crossed. Okay, I'm recording this before free agency, before the draft has happened, so I don't know what moves Ryan Poles has made at this point in time, okay, when the season starts, but I'm assuming he's going to be getting offensive linemen, you know, more speedy receivers that fit the skill set of Justin Fields. And Luke Getsy as an offensive coordinator, he cannot be nearly as bad as Matt Nagy was, guys, because Matt Nagy was without a doubt probably the worst play caller in the NFL last year. I mean, he had to give up play calling duties again to Bill Lazor because that's how bad his offense was failing. So I think that Justin Fields, with how talented he was in college, that talent is still there, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the coming year. And my last breakout candidate is going to be cornerback Jaylen Johnson. Now, Jaylen Johnson is already viewed as being a pretty decent corner, in my opinion, in the NFL. Like, most fans do think he's pretty good, but nobody thinks he's great at this point in time. And I think he's going to continue his ascension to being a great player next year. Now, he's only 22 years old, so ridiculously young. There's still a lot of untapped athletic potential just in his, you know, in himself. Okay, he had so much talent coming out of college. The only reason why he fell was really due to injury, and for the most part, he stayed healthy for the Chicago Bears. He did miss a few games last year, but he's played in the majority of games that he's been available to the Bears, and he's been providing us with even some high-level play, you know, especially down the stretch of last year. If you guys remember in that game against the Packers at Lambeau Field, Jaylen was on Davante Adams for a good portion of the first half, and for the most part, shut him down. Okay, he did allow one touchdown, but that was when they were already in the red zone. It was only like a 5-6 yard pass, so that was pretty much impossible to defend. But everywhere else on the field, he played really good defense against one of the best receivers in the NFL, if not the best. So we've already seen a lot of flashes of greatness out of Jaylen, and him being so young, being 23 years old next year, you know, playing under a defensive-minded head coach, a guy that's molded, You know, a lot of great players on the Colts defense. I think the conditions are ripe for a breakout season for Jaylen Johnson. Hopefully, he'll be one of the better corners in the NFL. So there you have it, guys. Those are my 3 Chicago Bears breakout candidates for next year. Let me know your opinions down below. Who do you think is going to break out next season? There's a ton of people I didn't discuss in this video. Guys like maybe Tevin Jenkins, he's really young. Cole Kmet, if you still have hope for him. You know, other guys on the roster, maybe like Kyrie's Tonga, he's a young guy. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, bear down.